Welcome to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Vegas, here we come.
Vegas!
Here are your hosts, Chris and Josh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Crap Vegas Bracket Challenge. I am Chris, he's Josh, and today we are extremely thankful and flattered to be joined by Keren, co-host of the 360 Vegas podcast. Keren, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful, guys. How are you?
Doing fine. Thanks so much for joining us. I keep trying to get Chris to call it the CVPBC.
Crap your damn acronyms.
Property Bracket Challenge, but he won't do it.
No, I won't.
I think we've got the market cornered on acronyms.
Yeah, you guys are good at that too, right?
Josh, if you want to find a new show, I know where you can land. But let's keep them off of our show then, okay? And I'm doing perfectly fine, although it is currently 9:10 at night. For Chris, the old man, this is time for me to go to bed. So if I'm like Josh when he's sick, I'm going to slowly trail off as we go this time. And by the end, I will have no opinion on anything. So it'll be terrific.
We'll just hear snores coming out of the other end.
I know.
I'll be able to watch it too.
That's right.
Okay. Before we get going, let's do a quick recap of the rules here. The Crap Vegas 2024 Property Bracket Challenge has been set up with effectively no contest rules. The bracket was seeded by the Crap Vegas team. That can be read as just Josh by himself with no input. But beyond that, some teams are in the contest that probably shouldn't qualify. Other properties were left out for no reason. So with that in mind, let's have some fun.
No, I'm curious as to which ones were left out. I'm going to have to go back and go through the whole list.
Oh yeah, we've had listeners and Twitter people, and
oh really?
People were not very happy with some of the inclusions, and they were mad with things that were left out.
How can you say that Palazzo is different? Is this a different property than Venetian? And how can you leave off whatever we left off? And yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was bad. But
it's really funny when you start talking about different properties and stuff like that. People get very passionate about it.
Yeah.
They have some very strong opinions of what's considered on the strip, not on the strip. Is it a locals? Is it not? So yeah, you can get people fired up pretty quickly.
That's an idea for next year, Josh. Let's do a strip bracket. So then we can really piss people off with what we include and what we don't.
That's right.
Terrific. I love it. Okay, so let's start it off with our first matchup of the night. It's number 1 Caesars Palace against number 16 Main Street Station. Caesars Palace opened back in '66. It's currently owned by Vici Properties, with Caesars Entertainment holding the gaming license. And Josh's fun fact of the day: in the early morning hours of September 6, 1970, Frank Sinatra was playing high-stakes baccarat at the casino where he happened to be performing at the time. Sinatra had been playing $8,000 a hand and wanted the stakes to be raised to $16,000, so he began shouting his request, and it was denied by an executive VP of Caesars, Sanford Waterman. There was a quarrel, and Waterman drew a gun on Sinatra. Sinatra walked out of the casino and returned to his Palm Springs home, fulfilling the rest of his 3-week engagement, which paid him $100,000 a week.
Without fulfilling it.
Without fulfilling. So what a great fun fact, Josh. You're always good with these long paragraphs that have to be added. But they're going to be going off against number 16 Main Street Station. Opened in 1978 originally as a Holiday International. It changed a bunch of times, but as of 96, it's owned by Boyd Gaming. They did a big renovation. It looks much better than it used to. Josh's fun fact: Main Street Station offers a self-guided tour, which includes a portion of the Berlin Wall. The portion of the Berlin Wall is located in the men's restroom and has urinals affixed to it. Thanks, Josh. I mean, that makes voting so much harder than it was before I went into this matchup. But Keren, why don't you kick us off? What do you have between Caesars Palace and Main Street Station?
Well, this one might not be a very popular opinion, but I'm going with Main Street Station.
Oh, tell us why.
Well, if you've listened to the show, you know that I have a deep-seated dislike and hatred of Caesars Palace. So that's probably that's probably number 1. But the number 2, I think you got to have some Cinderella stories, right?
Right.
Going through the brackets. And so Main Street Station is one. It's just a fun property. I love the table limits. They've got a pretty decent restaurant, a good bar in there. And it's just a fun place to be. So Main Street Station is my my underdog upset.
I like it.
Josh?
Yeah. That was actually part of the reason, Keren, not specifically Main Street Station, part of the reason that we wanted to have you on. We didn't want this to be just filled with non-locals that didn't play at some of these properties or go there more often. And obviously for me, I haven't spent a lot of time at Main Street Station. I've spent much more time as a tourist at Caesars, as most tourists have. So I'm trying to give Main Street Station a fair shake here. I mean, the Berlin Wall, I was a history major, is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know about it.
The guys get to go in and piss on the Berlin Wall, which is kind of a big selling point. I've never personally seen it because, it's in the men's room.
There's a YouTube video. It doesn't show the peeing part, but it shows the urinals.
It'd be a much more interesting story if she had seen it in person.
Well, that's true.
That's
we
what
could make
need.
that happen.
Okay, Josh.
We
What do you got,
post
Josh?
a guard outside the door. Yeah, we could probably make that happen. But I think I'm okay.
So, Karen, I'm kind of like you, and I think Chris is too. Neither of us are huge Caesar's Palace fans.
Yeah.
But that said, it's one of the most iconic properties in Vegas. And even though I think it's kind of like a hospital now with all its wings and not personality, it still has at least the original gambling floor there. And it's got a lot to it. It's got shopping. It's got all that stuff. So I'm going to give it to Caesar's Palace kind of reluctantly, but
I completely understand why. I think most people would. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right on, Josh. My notes, though, when I'm looking at what I wrote down about this one, I said, I don't get the love for Caesar's Palace because I really don't. It has a terrible layout. I cannot stand the layout of that property.
Yeah.
It's just winding and cavernous, and it's dark in certain areas more than it should be. And table games are where they're not supposed to be. They're just randomly thrown in between 6 or 7 slot machines. Don't love that at all. The gaming conditions are not good at lower levels for anybody that wants to play there. Table limits are always extremely high. And I'm a firm believer that Caesar's Palace has some of the worst dealers in Vegas. They are the most old, surly, just get off my table people you will ever find. But all that being said, I unfortunately still am going to pick Caesar's Palace over Main Street Station. They still do a good job at what they're trying to do. And unfortunately, Josh, when we combine the public votes, both the public and Patreon voted for Caesars. So this is going to be a 4-1 sweep. But Karen, I do appreciate your love for Main Street Station. If this was anybody else going against Caesars, they may have won. But in this round, they're going to move on.
No Cinderella story quite yet.
Not yet, but you never know, Josh. Let's move on to the next matchup. We have number 8, Nobu, going against number 9, Luxor. Nobu was opened back in 2013. It's owned by Nobu Hospitality. Josh's fun fact, Nobu guests can have a Peloton bike delivered to their Nobu room to enjoy their very own private cycling studio. I've stayed there and I did not know that was the case.
There you go.
Well, good to know.
I wonder how much they charge for that.
What I read was $75 plus a $200 deposit.
I guess that's not terrible.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Have it delivered right to your room.
I don't know how long you get to keep it for the $75, but
I'm sure it's $75 a day, but that's okay. Going against number 9, Luxor, though. Luxor opened back in 93. It's owned by Vici Properties, like every other property in Vegas now, it seems. Their fun fact, at its opening, the resort also featured the indoor Nile River Tour, a paid 15-minute ride that brought guests to different parts of the pyramid and passed by pieces of ancient artwork on a river. The river was 3,000 feet long and was removed after 3 years. And Josh, I love going back and watching those old Luxor commercials where they had the Nile River ride in place. Yeah. It's just so iconic. And it's the one thing that's been missing from Vegas for so long for me. I love theming, and I hate that all that theming is now gone.
Me too.
I mean, although I think they had to take the river out too because it took too long for guests to get to their rooms.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to get on a barge to get to the elevator.
I'm cool with that. You know what? It's part of the property. Let's bring it back. But Karen, what are your thoughts here between Nobu and Luxor?
Well, so Nobu kind of bugs me a little bit because I view it as part of Caesars, which again, I know might be run
You're not alone
separately,
in that.
But so again, because it's Caesars, I am going to go for Luxor.
I like it.
I do like the theming, and Luxor was the first place that Mark and I stayed when we came out together. I had been out here before for work, but that was our first trip was there at Luxor. And just, I mean, I know it's kitschy history, but there is history built into Luxor, which, Mark's a big fan of as well. And it's just a fun property. It's just got a better vibe to me than Nobu does. So I'm going with Luxor.
I'm right there with you. I think both Karen, Chris, and I love the theming. Even though it's not what it was back when it was built with the theming, it's still there a little bit. And I love the inclinators. I love the the lights that you can see from space from the top of the pyramid, even though they've turned them down. They're only at I think functioning at a half brightness or whatever. But Nobu, I think, is a nice place to stay. Nothing against it. I understand the quarrel with the selection committee's decision to break it off as a separate property, but it is a separate hotel group that manages it, Nobu Hospitality. So the selection committee is resting its
You're
whatever
defending
in
the
that.
choice.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think Luxor has a lot of fun history to it. It's a unique property. It's obviously not like anything else on the Strip. So it's got my vote too.
Josh, Luxor was my first trip to Vegas as well. I think we've talked about that before. So I'm right there with you, Karen. I love Luxor. I think it's a terrific property. If you're a low-level gambler, I would highly encourage people to go to Luxor. I think it's a great place.
Yep.
It's a big piece of Vegas history. It's very iconic on the inside with the pyramid design and the rooms facing downward on it. It's a cool space. They got a terrible food court. If you're hungry at night, you can go eat at. I mean, what else could you possibly want? Nobu, I've stayed at twice, once for work, once for pleasure. Both times, the room was great. But yeah, Josh, I just don't get it. There's not much else with it that makes me think this is so awesome. And whether it should or not, any property that doesn't have a casino is going lower on my book, even though it has, it's right there at Caesars. It's just, if they don't have their own, I can't give them credit for it. But yeah, I'm going to go with Luxor as well. The public did too, so this is going to be a 5-0 match. Luxor moves through.
Woohoo.
Awesome.
And that was technically an upset because Luxor was a 9 seed, so it upset the 8 seed.
It's an upset that you created with bad seeding.
I didn't create it. The seeding committee.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, moving on to our next matchup, though. We have the number 5 seed, Four Seasons, against the number 12 seed, the Cal. The Four Seasons opened back in '99. It's owned technically by Bill Gates through his investment company, Cascade Investment. But it's really just the 35th through 39th floor of Mandalay Bay Tower. So, Josh, they don't even get their own damn building. They only get 5 floors. But Josh's fun fact, since 1999, the Veranda at Four Seasons offers a weekend brunch buffet that is a great way to recharge after a hard night's playing. Bottomless Bloody Marys are available. They're playing against the number 12 seed Cal, opened back in '75. It's owned by Boyd Gaming. And his fun fact is that in the mid-'70s, the owners decided they wanted to appeal to the Hawaiian market. They would take Coors beer to Hawaii, where it was not available, and deliver it to the travel agents to get them to book Hawaii guests at the Cal. Well, that is a fun fact, Josh. That's the most exciting one I've read in the past couple weeks.
Thank you. That was my favorite fun fact, I think.
Okay, good.
They took beer to travel agents in Hawaii to get them to book
You
guests.
do what you got to do,
That's right.
They used to have their own charter flights on a regular basis. Like every day, they were flights going back and forth specifically to get folks to the Cal. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
They tapped into that market for sure.
It's a really unique marketing, they decided they wanted that niche market and they went all the way. And I think it worked.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and Vegas is actually known as the Ninth Island.
Right.
Because there is a very strong Hawaiian population, strong Hawaiian culture here too. So, they brought them out and they've made their impact known. That's for sure.
So, Karen, what are your thoughts about this matchup?
So, the Four Seasons doesn't even have a whole building. It's only got a couple floors. I have eaten at the Veranda. It's a nice restaurant, but I am going to have to go with the Cal. Number one, again, love the property. They did a refresh there a couple years ago. Good gaming limits. They've got actually some really great food options in there that are reasonably priced. Plus, for me, the Four Seasons and even Mandalay Bay, it's so far down at the end of the Strip.
Good point.
That you're kind of limiting yourself on options, or expect to take Ubers or whatever to get to where you need to be. So I'm going to go with the Cal.
Josh?
Oh, that makes sense. I have a couple things to say about Four Seasons. I mean, it's a 5-diamond property. It's got a 5-star spa. Even though, yes, it's just a portion of the floors of Mandalay Bay, the first couple levels of it when you go into where Veranda is and the one level up are pretty separate. And it actually is a little hard even to find your way from Four Seasons to Mandalay Bay. So they do a good job separating. I love Veranda. I picked that as my fun fact because we go when I'm down with my buddies to the buffet at Four Seasons from wherever we are. We go there and it is fantastic. Usually not very crowded, expensive, but really wonderful way to just kind of recharge on Saturday morning or Sunday morning or something like that. That said, I hear nothing but good things about the Cal from, particularly from locals, but even from people tourists who like to go downtown, always seem to have good things to say about the Cal. I mean, I'm with you. I'm trying to give Four Seasons a little love because it's a nice property. I mean, they have real room service, which Chris and I like a lot, all that kind of stuff. But I'm still going to go with the Cal in a big upset.
Now, Josh, I remember when this announcement came out, the Four Seasons was the number 5 seed. There was a lot of feedback from listeners saying, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
And you vigorously defended them being a number 5 seed.
Absolutely.
And now they're going against a much lower seeded Cal, and you still don't pick them.
I didn't have any role in making them a number 5 seed, Chris. I don't know what you're saying.
Okay.
I need to know who's on the selection committee.
Yeah. You're looking at the only one right now. We're just not going to specify who it was. But, the Four Seasons, I think I went there one time. I didn't stay there. I don't consider it even a standalone property.
Even though it is.
I'll give you credit for Nobu being separate. I'll definitely give you credit for Encore and Palazzo being separate. They feel, they're completely different buildings with walkways in between them on those. I feel like those are separate. The Four Seasons, if you only get 5 floors, I don't even know if that should qualify. I think they should be DQ'd from this whole tournament. I don't have an affinity for
They do have their own check-in.
Yeah.
So,
it's completely separate.
It is.
It's like a nomad argument all over again is what this is here.
I don't think we're there yet.
Are they in the bracket too?
I don't remember.
I think we're going to do this again. Yeah. So all that being said, I don't have an affinity for the Cal or anything. I haven't been there in probably, 5-6 years. I played blackjack there a couple times. The vibe was great. I had no problems with it. They had really cheap drinks if you had to buy them. They had some good cheap food options. Everybody was very friendly. And since I don't really care for the Four Seasons, the Cal goes through, and with the listener votes, that makes it 5-0.
Michael Traeger is going to be so upset with us over this.
Well, he is a luxury travel booker.
Exactly.
By the way, book.travelzork.com. Tell him Craft Vegas sent you. But other than that, no, Josh, I think that was an easy one. Next matchup, we have number 4, the Cromwell, going against a soon-to-be out of business number 13, Tropicana. We better really rush this episode out, I think.
That's right.
Number 4, the Cromwell. They opened in 79 back as the Barbary Coast. They became Bill's Gambling Hall for a few years. And then they reopened as the Cromwell in 2014 when Caesars bought them and did their whole thing. Josh's fun fact, in early 2013, Caesars, spelled wrong, announced that the property would reopen under the name Gansevoort Las Vegas. In October 2013, Caesars ended its partnership with Gansevoort after an investor with Gansevoort Hotel Group, Caesars' partner in the project, was reputed to have ties with organized crime in Russia. That seems like a good reason to break off a contract.
Yeah.
Is this like a big Russia-Ukraine argument we're going to have now or something?
No politics on this show.
You love politics on this show. You're good on it. Going on, they're going to be playing against number 13, Tropicana. Opened back in 57. Geez, I didn't realize it had been that long. But 57, it's owned by Bally's Corp. My fun fact is that, like I mentioned, it's expected to close April 2nd with the expectation that it'll be demolished for the A's baseball stadium. Josh's fun fact is, of course, it's about this. The Tropicana debuted a topless review in 1959 titled Folies Bergère. The show was imported from Paris. Aside from the showgirls, Folies Bergère also featured other acts, including the Las Vegas debut of magicians Siegfried and Roy. The show ran at the Tropicana until 2009, and as of 23, it remains the longest running show in Las Vegas history. And I feel like I should throw like a red flag or call bullshit on that because it doesn't feel right. But are you telling me that's a true fact, Josh?
Which part? The longest running part?
The longest running part.
That's what I read. I don't know. I mean, I can only give you what Wikipedia and so on tells me. It could be wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, my thought was, did the show at Bally's run longer? And it did. Jubilee, yeah. And this one ran longer. Follies ran longer. So that's the only one I can think of that would have.
Okay, well, our limited fact checking says Josh is correct. Somebody please call us out if he's wrong, because we love that.
Right.
Keren, the Cromwell versus Tropicana. What you got?
This one was easy for me. It's going to be the Cromwell. I actually have very fond memories of Tropicana. I've stayed there a couple times. We've really enjoyed it. I think that was the first place that I did poolside blackjack. I like that it's a smaller casino. It's not, so big and massive. But I think where it's at today, funny story. We were there meeting up a listener, friend of the show, 2 weeks ago. And I got there first, so I went into the lounge and, sat down at a video poker machine, put $20 in. Bartender comes over and says, "Hey, what are you drinking?" Order my Tito's and tonic. And he's like, "All right, is that going to be cash or card?" And I'm like, well, I'm gambling. He's like, "Oh, no. You have to put at least 100 in to get a comp drink.
Wow.
And then they can't comp Tito's. They only comp the shit that comes out of the gun. Oh, pardon my language.
Wow.
Sorry, I don't know.
That's okay.
No,
No,
it's
You can do it
fine
on this
here.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, so when you think about that, so not only you have to put in 100 and then they only comp you the well crap, that's in the guns. It's like, well, no wonder this isn't going so well for you guys. So I don't like the way that it's running. I don't like, though, that it's going to be demolished, especially for this stupid relocation of the A's, if that actually comes to fruition. Plus, I like the Cromwell. I love the proximity of the Cromwell.
Yes.
It's for a local, it is the easiest in and out parking on the Strip.
Nice.
It's, super buzzing, in and out, easy. I love Giada's. It's a great restaurant.
Chris does too.
Bound
Yeah.
Bar.
Yep.
Yeah. Bound Bar in the back is a fun place to play video poker. And you can kind of look out over the sports book, so you can watch that too. Plus, they have one of my all-time favorite bartenders. Her name's Angelina. She works in the center bar area. She is just fantastic and a riot. So it's Cromwell for me.
Okay. Josh?
I can't argue with much of anything you said. I haven't spent a lot of time at the Trop. I remember going in there one of my first trips to Vegas. So this would have been, 25 years ago or so, and thinking it looked old and smelled old back then. And
it's worse now.
Yeah, it's
cigarette smoke for days.
I applaud you for meeting a listener there. Chris and I would never do that.
Well,
We
part
have
of it was
very
the
strict
nostalgic,
rules.
right? He was coming into town. He wanted to see it before it got blown up.
And that's a good reason.
Okay.
But I like Cromwell a lot. I have never actually stayed there. Chris has a number of times, but
too
somehow
many
it's just
times.
one of the ones I've missed to stay at. But I've gambled there a lot. I've liked it. I haven't liked the way they've cut back on the table games recently and the table game rules, which used to be one of the big draws to Cromwell.
Yeah.
But I still like the property. I think it's kind of fun and fairly unique for a Caesars property. It feels different. So it's got my vote easy.
I feel like it's going to come back to bite him in later rounds, but I bet you I've stayed at Cromwell 60 times, 70 times. When that place first opened, it was by far my favorite property in Vegas, and there was nothing close to it. The small size of it made it so intimate. There weren't a lot of rooms, so you didn't have long hallways. They were all really cool looking. They had cool features that other rooms didn't have. Like if you had your wife or girlfriend with you, they had all those products on the wall that you could kind of buy if you needed them. And they had the really cool showers. It was just a really nice space. And Josh, they did the small stuff. They had the coffee on 2 different floors where you could get a free espresso in the morning when you're coming down. They used to, I've said this 100 times, Eat Well used to be a really good place to eat. They used to have the most amazing nachos that they made. And then all of a sudden COVID hit, it spanked them. They cut their hours, they cut their menu, and it's just a shell. And now the gaming that used to be so good there, everything was 3 to 2. The high limit was terrific. The drink service was amazing. All that stuff is now gone.
So you're saying Trop has got your vote.
All that said, it's still far better than Trop. But I think in the next matchup, they are going to have some big problems because I love what the Cromwell used to be. I can't stand what they are now. And it's unfortunately that exact same thing that happens to all Caesars properties eventually, unless they decide to throw a little bit of money at it and fix it up for a little bit. They buy it, they let it fall into disrepair, and then it just disappears. So I hope that's not the case with the Cromwell and it makes a resurgence in the next few years, but it feels like it'll be sold off well before then. With that said, that puts the Cromwell as the winner 5-0 again. Keren has picked the easiest bracket there is, it appears, because everything's pretty much a sweep. With that said, we go to the other side of the bracket. The first one up, boy, this feels like a close matchup. We have number 6 Palazzo against number 11 Rio. Palazzo opened back in 2007, again owned by Vici Properties. And the fun fact from Josh, the resort was designed as a green building. In 2008, it earned Silver LEED certification from the U.S. Green Building Council, becoming the largest LEED certified building in the world. And Josh, as somebody whose company specializes in LEED building, I feel like I should be able to dispute this claim here, but I spent no time researching it. So I'm going to assume that you're correct.
It's a pretty large property.
You know, I looked at it the other day, Josh. My company actually supplied the wood interiors for nine casinos right now in Vegas.
Wow.
And even better, we did Fountain Blues before they filed bankruptcy the first time. And so all that stuff got sold off. We got paid for it. And then we got to do it 2 more times before they actually finished the building. So we got the same job 3 times. It was absolutely amazing. I hope that continues. They're going against number 11, Rio, though. Rio opened back in 1990. It's owned by Dreamscape now, the new acquisition from Caesars. And Josh's fun fact, of course, nerd alert, it is home of the annual Las Vegas Star Trek convention. Good for you, Josh.
That was this year again? I didn't have to do any research for that fun fact.
I was going to say, are you going to cosplay this year when you go?
No. In fact, I might not even go this year. I think we have family stuff that might keep me from going. Yeah.
You've gone, what, 50 years in a row now?
Since 2014, I think.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
If you cosplay this year, let me know.
Okay, will do.
But that being said, Palazzo Rio. Karen, start us off.
So I get the argument that Palazzo and Venetian are one and the same. I completely agree that they're not.
Good.
They have very different vibes, very different feelings in them. I actually prefer Palazzo to the Venetian. I've had to stay there. My last company, we used to do conventions out there every other year, and it was always there at the Sands Convention Center. So I like the rooms. They're big. It can be a little bit of a maze. I really haven't spent like any time in the canal shops because I know they're linked between the two, but they do have some really good restaurants in there. I don't really gamble there because their players club isn't necessarily linked to anything. And quite frankly, I don't gamble enough to have it matter as far as status there. Rio, I'm excited to see what's happening at Rio. The work that they're doing, the outside of the building looks fantastic.
It does, doesn't it? The new lights?
Yes, all the new lights. So I'm really excited about what's happening. I know the food hall just opened. And the rooms at Rio, I've stayed there once, are gigantic. Because again, it's an all-suite hotel. So if they can refresh that, it's sad that they don't have the Carnival in the Sky anymore. All the stuff that it opened with, it just slowly fizzled away. But there's good things happening there. However, I think they're in a building year, so the team might not quite be strong enough yet to win out. So I'm gonna have to go with Palazzo in this one.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I love. Well, I wouldn't stay there, but I love Rio. I have a soft spot, obviously, for Rio. I've been to the Star Trek convention so much. I was there. It was one of the, maybe the second or third place I ever stayed in Vegas when it had the Carnival in the Sky. I think, as you said, I mean, part of the thing that I think that the selection committee was thinking, they're both all suite properties. So those two match up well there. The rooms are big. I mean, there's potential there. And it sounds like, I keep reading that Dreamscape is working with neighboring properties to try and, make the neighborhood better and kind of attract a different group of people, I think. And I love the dealers there. I mean, when I go in once a year, I see the same dealers that are still there and they kind of remember me and it's fun. And all that said, Palazzo is a much nicer property. I like the restaurants there. I mean, it's hard to kind of separate what counts as Palazzo restaurants from what counts as Venetian restaurants and where you fit the Grand Canal and so on. So trying not to think about that. But when you just look at the casino floor, which I think is lovely, it's light, it's bright, and the rooms are nice. They're even nicer, I think, as far as just being more modern than Venetian rooms. So it easy vote for me.
Yeah, this one's hard for me, Josh. I love Venetian Palazzo. I'm on a kick with them right now where I'm very happy with what they're doing. I like Venetian a little bit more than I like Palazzo personally, but I can absolutely see where one would favor a different personality type than mine. The Palazzo rooms, I love having the Starbucks right off the elevators when you come down from the Palazzo rooms. That's a big plus. I mean, I need my coffee to start the day, and those rooms are massive. And the Palazzo rooms were newer. It's my biggest complaint about Venetian rooms is they're just very old. They're clean, they're upkept, but they're old.
Right.
But overall, Rio, I think the last time I was there is because we were going to see Penn and Teller. Because there's just nothing else that ever drives me over. By the way, is Penn and Teller staying at Rio when this is all?
Yeah.
They signed a new deal.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Because I could go see Penn and Teller once a month. That'd be terrific. I love that show. But other than that, I just never crosses my mind like, let's go to Rio today. And it's kind of like what Karen said earlier when it comes to having a property that's tied to other properties for earning purposes. There's nothing else.
Right now, Rio is the same thing.
It's the same thing that I hate about, as much as I love Wynn. It's the same thing I hate about Wynn. I only have Encore Boston Harbor as another property. It's the same thing at Venetian Palazzo. Fountain Blue, Resorts World, all these places that I just really can't parlay my play into anything else. So that definitely works against them. But overall, the Palazzo's a nicer property.
Sorry, what's funny about that is people have been complaining so much that there's two corporations that really seem to run Vegas.
Right.
And we're starting to see more one-offs
You're
coming
right.
in, but then now we're going back to, well, I
We don't want this.
I don't get status. I don't get much for my play there. So I'm going to play where I have multiple options. So we bitch about it, but then we really don't follow through when the options are there.
My hope, Keren, is that in 3 to 4 years, the group that owns Venetian Palazzo buys Fontainebleau. I think those properties would be perfect as a pairing. Whether or not that'll ever happen, who knows? But I think that would be a nice way to extend beyond just the Venetian Palazzo to a property that's kind of similar in some ways.
You know, Josh, talking about that, this is unrelated to the contest, but Keren brought up a good point. Do you think that the divide between players when we're talking about properties that are all tied together, like the MGM or Caesars umbrella, versus these independent properties, do you think that it only matters to certain player types? Like if you're a high enough player, do you really care if it's tied to multiple places? Like I used to love playing at Cosmo when it was independent. That never stopped me from going there, being a big player there. But I hear people every day that say, I can't play there because it's not tied to other properties. Do you think it's really just like a player level where lower level players care about that a heck of a lot more than higher level players?
I think I'll see what you think, Keren, but I think if you're super high, you don't care. And I think if you're super low, you don't care.
Probably true.
I mean, just when I was in Vegas with my buddies, and they're not even super low limit gamblers, but just when I was in Vegas last weekend with my friends, they're not tied to a particular chain. So whether it's Caesars or MGM, and they don't even think about it. They'll just want to go to a property. Hey, let's go check out the Dancing Dealers at Golden Gate or the Pleasure Pit at Planet Hollywood. You know what I mean? So they don't even think about that. So I think at a certain level down, or a certain type of gambler, maybe is a better way to say it, they don't care either.
You're probably right.
I think it's interesting because you bring up Cosmo, and I was a huge fan of Cosmo when it was independent, and I also had pretty decent status there, not because I gambled a ton, because their table limits are a little too high for my taste, but because of the rewards that you got dining. They gave you 5 times points on dining. So for me, that was easy. And just that little bit, we got free parking, I got free play every week, I got dining credits every week. Like what they were offering made it so that I wanted to come back.
Right.
But when you got someplace like Venetian Palazzo, I can't get anything out of there. Win, forget it. I got nothing out of Win. I wasn't one of those people that, got on the whatever their app was early on where they were giving away all the free stuff. But I think to Josh's point, if you're a high level, I don't think you care because wherever you go, they're going to kiss your, kiss your butt to get you to come back. And if you're low level, and especially if you don't visit Vegas often, you're like, I'll just go play where I want to. So interesting.
No, I think you're right.
Interesting conversation.
I can't remember the last time, Josh, I went to Vegas and didn't think about where we were playing and just said, let's just go up and down the strip. I mean, I used to do that a ton when I was young. If I was, 20, 25, even maybe 30, we do that all the time. But I don't think in the past 10 years I've taken a trip where I didn't choose a certain property. And it's one of the reasons that we actually bounced to MGM for a while from Wynn was because we're like, look, we can go up and down the strip. And if it's not going well, we can go to Mandalay Bay and we can go to Luxor, New York. And we had so many options to bounce around, but we couldn't do that when we're at Wynn. We have Wynn and Encore and we're stuck. So I definitely see the appeal of that. And I would love to have that opportunity again. It just hasn't presented itself. But just to recap that round, Palazzo did win 5-0. So that was an easy Palazzo win. Moving on to the next matchup, though, we have number 3, the Palms, against again, overseeded number 14, Oyo. The Palms opened.
Can't be overseeded much.
It's 2 spots overseeded. But the Palms opened in 2001. It's owned by the San Manuel Indian tribe now. Josh's fun fact, the Fantasy Tower, which cost $600 million to build, opened in 2005, and it included a 2-story suite with a basketball court and a locker room. It also had several fantasy suites, including the Barbie suite and the Kingpin suite, which featured a bowling lane. Do you remember when they were doing all that advertising for it when it first opened, and they were trying to get you to pay like $10,000 or $20,000 a night to book it?
Oh, yeah.
And it was a
hot spot. I mean, the real world Las Vegas was there. Yeah.
It was there. But so funny story. We stayed at the Palms once, one of our early trips out here, and we got in like super late at night. Like it was like 11:30 p.m. or something, Vegas time. And so we go to check in, and the room actually we had like a steal of a price on the room. But we go to check in, and the woman behind the desk says, "Oh, how would you like to be upgraded to our G Suite at no additional cost?"
Oh.
And we're like, okay,
Sure.
upgrades. We'll take that. Massive. It was one of the fantasy suites. It was 3 bedrooms. It had 4 bathrooms. It had a kitchen. It had a pool table. It had the main shower had a stripper pole in it.
Oh.
And from the living room, there were like barn doors that you could open that then looked into the shower. So yeah, it was, we're just kind of walking around going, this is really wasted on just the 2 of us being here. We should have, if we could have planned this better, we could have had a big old party, but they're not kidding. The suites they're massive.
You know, one thing we didn't talk about when we were talking about Rio was those rooms where you can look in from the, Rio has the shower window where you can look in from the room to the shower. Some of the suites at Rio, I can't remember which. It's either in the Masquerade. It's weird. It's really weird. But yeah, there's a window from the room into the shower.
Yeah.
You didn't cut a hole in the wall or something at the room next to it.
That would have been the room next door, right?
You're not confessing to a crime, are you? Okay. The Palms is going against number 14 seed Oyo. Opened back in 73 as a Howard Johnson, which is pretty much still what it is today. But it's most famous for being known as a Hooters from 2006 to 2019. It's now owned by Highgate and Oyo Hotels. And Josh's fun fact, when the properties was a Hooters casino hotel, Hooters of America, owners of the trademark, received 2% of all revenue as royalties. Wow, they're the ones that came out ahead on this one.
Yeah, that was about the only fun fact I could find.
I mean, I can't think of anything else really myself.
The funnest fact, Karen and Chris knows this already. Chris was doing the Twitter poll for this matchup, and he put out the poll, and Oyo replied.
Did they really?
Yes.
They had nothing else to do. I didn't even tag them, so they were literally just searching their name, and it came up. But that's not surprising at all.
What did they ask you? Just out of curiosity.
Oh no, nothing. Just they responded with
wink.
Some sort
I think it was
just like a wink
with
or
a wink.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like yeah, we're still alive and still here. Amazingly, is what it made me think. Hooters opened, Josh. When it became a Hooters, I was like 22, 23. So I was right at that prime age. No, you weren't. You were like 40. It was right at that prime age where, a young 20-year-old and Hooters, I know I stayed there at least 4 or 5 times. It used to be a whole lot of fun. I mean, the gaming wasn't too terrific, but it was low level. You had some pretty women that you could look at there. The rooms were tolerable. But looking back now, I wouldn't stay there again. I've been by Oyo since it rebranded and reopened. I haven't stayed there. There was nothing too impressive about it to draw me back. I love the Palms, though, so I'll be very surprised if anybody goes against me on this one. But Karen, what do you got? Are you going to pick Oyo as a big surprise here?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I've never stepped foot in it under any version of whatever it was. So yeah, no. I mean, I have no need to. It's a dive that's like off not even a fun dive. It's not like it's Ellis Island or something like that you would go off strip for. Yeah, no chance at all. And even with the Palms, it was really sad how long the Palms was closed.
I know.
Post pandemic.
Right.
And I was so glad. I mean, Stations, you want to talk about one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made.
Yeah, they lost a ton.
They sold it. They sold it for about what they put into the nightclub. They took a huge bath on it. I'm excited, that the tribe is in and running things.
Mm-hmm.
They have some great restaurants in there. It's just got a fun vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It still does, regardless of who owns it. So hands down, no questions asked, Palms has got this one in a landslide.
Yeah,
Josh,
I think this is a pretty easy call for what we're going to say, Chris.
I was going to say, I know this is one of your favorite properties in Vegas, so what's going to happen here?
Which one, Oyo or Palms?
Oyo. Yeah, I mean, you're a big Oyo fan. You talk about it all the time.
I did stay at Oyo. I did stay at Hooters right after it was the San Remo before, right? It was San Remo, I think. I think
that doesn't sound right.
Now we got to know. Stop the tape.
See, this is what drives me crazy.
Do you think there's not video running right now?
Tony and I all of a sudden will be like, well, wait, what about this? Like, you go and talk amongst yourselves. I got to look this up.
Right. Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
We do this too, but you can't do this on a video podcast, Josh.
Sure,
now I have to edit this stuff
You're going to
out.
edit the video, right? I think I'm almost there. It was the San Remo. I was right. From 1989 to 2006.
Okay, fine.
So I must have come in like 2006 when it changed over to Hooters. And my buddy and I stayed there because this was back when, we were looking for the cheapest room we could find. We didn't care about it being Hooters. We just wanted a cheap room. And this was right after they had rebranded, so much so that the Hooters room numbers weren't even on the rooms yet. So it didn't have the smells that it had now. It had still kind of a new hotel smell because they had buffed it up after, San Rainbow. But other than that, I don't have anything positive to say about it either. I haven't spent a ton of time at the Palms, but everybody I know has liked it. When I was there with Chris for my birthday a year and a half ago, whenever it was, we had a really good time. I like the craps odds. They had the original crap or the original payouts on the all tall small. The casino floor was kind of bright, new and shiny and redone. Quick story about the Maloofs. My Maloof story is Gavin Maloof plays, probably still does, but it's been a couple of years since I've played there regularly, but played craps at Bellagio every day, all day with his Palms money and his basketball money and all that. But he would just, have a chair at the Bellagio craps tables and play forever. I'm sure he still does.
Hey, I love
crazy
the
to own a property and then go, well, I guess you can't. Can you?
Yeah, he probably has to gamble somewhere else.
I wouldn't think you could.
You can't. I know you can't bet at the sports book. So my guess is,
probably can. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But anyways, I love the Palms. I think it's a terrific property. I loved it before they had new management. I like it now. It's a big property. It's beautiful. It's bright. They have a great buffet, and I don't even like buffets, but it was really good last time I was there. Their rooms are terrific, especially with high floors. You can get some really good views of the Strip. Just fun place. Dealers have always been great. Never had an issue. I don't like that it's not really tied to anything in my part of the country, so you can't get anything from that perspective. I found it very difficult to get decent comps there. I was playing pretty heavy back then when I was going there, and I didn't really get much out of them. It felt very tight to me, but maybe they just didn't like me. I don't know. That's possible. But the Palms is going to easily win this matchup. Yeah, most people don't, so that's understandable. Palms easily wins this one 5-0. Moving on, Josh, we got 2 more matchups left to go on this one.
Other than the first matchup, has anything been? I mean, everything's been 5-0, hasn't it?
Just the one time that you voted for Main Street Station over a Caesar's Palace. I said you picked the most, I would say chalk, but it's not chalk because some of it's underdogs. But this is a very consensus-heavy voting round.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah, seating was just really poor.
The committee will do a better job next year.
Okay. Yeah, I think Keith got much luckier in his division, Josh. He had some real tiebreakers to make. Poor Keren doesn't get to have that sort of effect. But
she picked this region.
Okay, fair enough.
I did. The one that I wanted, I think, was the one that was taken.
Linus got taken right.
Yeah.
Linus got taken right away, and I can see why. There were some fun ones in there, and then kind of the rest of them, you were just like, I'm looking at some of these seatings going, what the hell? I understand this.
So was I.
I'm going to cut this part out of the audio.
No, this is definitely part of the episode because I said the same thing. And you are right.
It'll get more interesting in the next. It'll get more interesting in the next round.
No, for sure.
It seemed fitting since they were all the oceans names, right? Okay, give me Tess. Right. I'll take that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Keith Lau, comedian, joined us last episode, and it seems like he had worked at every single casino in that bracket. So he had just a story about what's going on behind the scenes at all of them. But
I can imagine.
Yeah, I think he made a better choice there. Let's see. So last 2 matchups. Number 7 Harrah's against number 10 Golden Gate. Now, before I even say anything, Josh, this feels like it should be a better matchup.
Right.
Harrah's, the hotel opened in 72. The casino opened in 73. It's owned by Vici Properties. Josh's fun fact. What? Why is it that all your fun facts involve some sort of criminal activity that's taken place there on properties you don't like?
It's fun. I don't know. I'm a lawyer.
Josh's fun fact that I had to pause and read for a moment. In 2007, a Clark County investigation revealed that hotel renovations had also taken place at Harrah's Las Vegas in 2006 without permitting. Harrah's Entertainment closed approximately 600 rooms at Harrah's Las Vegas, allowing for investigative work. Wow, that's a big word. I can't say things like that. And possible remediation. Various fire safety hazards were uncovered, including some floors which lacked fire and smoke blocking caulk to keep these floors safe and separate. Well, that's great. I'm glad we're all safe now. Nobody died. They're going off against number 10 Golden Gate. Opened back in 1906. I mean, the property's got more history than anything you're ever going to find. It's owned by 2 people I don't particularly like, so I won't say their names. And Josh's fun fact is that in 1907, Las Vegas's first telephone was installed in this hotel. And Josh, I'll add another fun fact at Golden Gate. It was the first place to serve a 50-cent shrimp cocktail. So that was back in the late 1950s. So
there we go.
There you go. What else could you possibly want to know? Keren, Harrah's against Golden Gate. I feel like without even knowing you too well, I already know what direction you're going just based off previous choices, but let's see if you surprise me.
Well, no, I'm curious as to where you think I'm going.
I feel like you're a Golden Gate person. I feel like you got the downtown vibe going.
And she hates Caesars.
I say, and you don't like Caesars, so it feels like this is a real, easy win for Golden Gate with a big upset. Josh as a 10 seed.
That's right.
But
good job.
What are your thoughts here? Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going with Golden Gate. Although there are some drawbacks there. The property, number one, they have absolutely no food in the building whatsoever.
Yeah, you're right.
Since DePars weren't paying their tax bill and had to close very suddenly. Which was a shame because DePars was a great spot to go to, but it is full of history. I love the vibe on the floor. The dealers are fun. The bar, is it the Prohibition Bar? I think is the name of it. Is a great place to sit and play video poker. I've stayed there once, and we got what was one of the original authentic rooms. So tiny, and I never want to stay there again. But it was a fun thing to do.
You have the story.
You had the story. I couldn't even dry my hair in the bathroom because there was no outlet in the bathroom. So like I was out on the side of the bed and the wall looking at the mirror that was on the other side of the wall trying to it's crazy. And the bathroom, it just had a shower and the shower didn't have a curtain. It was at the end of the bathroom with just this little like pony wall. There you go. I mean, you couldn't it was so tiny, it's not even funny, but it was a fun experience. I do like the property. Harrah's, I've stayed there once. The loudest, and granted, this was a long time ago, but I couldn't sleep because it had one of those wall AC.
Right. Oh, yeah. Those, I hate those.
That kicked on and off all the time. The room was not renovated. They have the crappiest pool out of any property in Vegas, and that even includes the Link, which isn't much better. But
right.
And honestly, the food options and stuff there have never been high on my list. So yeah, no, I'm good. Give me the history and the kitsch of Golden Gate. I'll take that anytime.
Josh?
Yeah, I don't have much to add, Keren. I 100% agree. Golden Gate, I mean, Chris and I talk about it on the show. It's one of our favorite downtown properties to go and just play and, low level gambling and just enjoy yourself and drink. And the music's really loud, which for some people is good and some people not. But the dancing dealers, all the kind of stuff that's there, the history to it. And honestly, for me, Harrah's is just kind of meh. I think it's one of those Caesars properties that's just right in the middle. I think they took away a lot of the personality when they got rid of the paddle wheel theming. It just doesn't have much that makes it special. I think Golden Gate has a lot that makes it special and unique, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like Golden Gate. I think it's a fun place to play. I always enjoy going downtown there and playing with you, Josh. A couple things working against it. They took away the second craps table. So now they literally only have one. I've never had a terrific experience with the dealers at Golden Gate. I don't think they're that great. And I can't stand how long their craps tables are. They're 750 feet long and they are like a damn trampoline. So
that's true.
You only get like one roll an hour in because they're not staying on there. And they just keep telling you.
You're not going there for speed gambling, Chris.
No. You just, if you want just a drink and some random pretty people to walk by with some music that has completely destroyed my hearing, it's great. And yes, I would not stay there and there's no food, so that doesn't help it either. That being said, I still like it more than when I go to Harrah's. Yeah, it's just a good description of Harrah's. There's nothing that makes me want to go there. The last time I was... did you not pay the electric bill? I mean, what's going on here?
For our listeners that are just listening on audio, we're also filming this for our Patreon channel, and the lights in my office went out, so my Zoom is now scary dark.
Black.
To wrap it up, Golden Gate, I think it's an easy win here. Harrah's, the last time I went there was because I wanted to see Mac King before he moved over to Luxor, who he's a great show, but there's nothing else at Harrah's that would drive me over there. Golden Gate's an easy winner here. Last matchup that we got, Josh, while you're in the dark. Very close. Number 2, Aria against number 15, Aliente.
Also overseeded.
Yeah. There could only be 116 in each.
Main Street Station shouldn't have been it.
Fair, that's fair. That's fair.
See? Yeah, Keren already called you out on that one. Aria opened back in 2009. It's owned by the Blackstone Group now. MGM's got the gaming license. Josh's fun fact, the Cirque du Soleil show Viva Elvis premiered on February 17th of 2010 at Aria. The show, which pays tribute to Elvis, did not last as long as the King, though. It ended its run on August 31, 2012. It was replaced on November 1st by Cirque du Soleil's rock opera, Zarkana. Fun,
which is also gone.
The Elvis show lasted way too long. That was horrible.
Was it bad?
Oh my God. There was one scene where they all came out with blue helmets of Elvis hair. So like his like little bouffant sort of thing.
Right.
But it was blue and they were hard plastic helmets. It was bad. It was really bad.
Random question for you, Keren. We're not talking about New York, but did you ever see Zumanity when it was there?
Yes, I did.
What were your thoughts on it? Did you love it or hate it?
I hated it.
Oh, Chris and I both liked it.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was a big fan of it. I saw it when it had a live band and without a live band. And both times I really enjoyed it.
I went once with a friend of mine who was a gay friend of mine, but so he loved a lot of the scenes. There were some parts that he was just thrilled with, and but I was watching it going, I paid way more for this than I have for some of the other topless reviews that we've seen, and quite frankly, the topless reviews were better. So
yeah, I can't argue with you on that. I always found it to be a fun show.
Have you seen Zombie Burlesque?
I have not.
Got to go see Zombie Burlesque.
Highly recommend.
Since I've done a topless show. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Mark went to go see X Country last year because a friend of ours' daughter was in the show. So
I don't know if that makes it better or not.
Yeah, it was kind of. You had a little bit of a weird feeling about it. You're like, I know this person. I knew her when she was underage, and now she's on the
topless show, right?
But
as a father of a teenage daughter, I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh no, it was actually kind of funny because it was her birthday, and so her mom had gathered up a group of like 20 people.
Oh, nice!
And all brought them into the show, and so she had her own little cheering section, dancing topless on her birthday. So
okay, so
all the stuff you do in Vegas.
Yeah, why not? Aria Aliente. Keren, is this a...
Wait, you got to give us your fun fact on Aliente.
Is it really a fun fact, Josh?
No, it was. I struggled there to find a fun fact on Aliente.
You can always tell you.
I wonder why.
It's always fun when you try to find something and there's nothing there, because usually you just give me a statement of fact about how many hotel rooms there are or something stupid like that. Look at this one. Camacho's Cantina, a Mexican restaurant at Aliente that is no longer open, had a chandelier made out of 2,700 empty tequila bottles. So this place that's no longer there used to have something that they no longer have. Great fun fact.
That was the best fun fact I could find on Aliente.
Perfect. Keren, what you got?
Oh, it's Aria. I mean, I've never stepped foot in Aliente. I know it's another local spot, whatever, but and I don't even really particularly like Aria. I've never had any luck gambling there. The rooms are fine. Like I said, we saw the horrible Elvis show when it was there. And quite honestly, I haven't had good dining experiences there either. Oh. Which they've got some really, high-end restaurants. I never need to go back into John George again. It was one of the worst steaks I've ever had.
Chris and I didn't like it all that much when we went either. I mean, we didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be.
It was bad when we went. Lemongrass, I haven't liked that. I do like the dim sum place that moved in there. I don't remember the name of it, and if I come up with it, I'll pronounce it wrong. But the dim sum place is good. I do like that. It's a California transplant out here. But,
have you eaten at Javier's?
I have not. That one
Javier's is good.
That'd be a recommendation if you're looking to try something different.
Okay,
it's pretty good
to know.
But Keren's obviously a strong Aria lean here, Josh. What are you thinking here? Are you going to really surprise me since this was your second favorite property for a very long time?
Yeah, I got nothing. That's Chris and I love Sky Suites at Aria. We like the casino quite a bit. We're getting to know the dealers and like most of them. The crews are super good, most of them. I have not been to Aliente. We had a Twitter reply that said, in reply to the poll regarding this matchup, you have Center Strip versus where am I? Versus
it's North Las Vegas is what I would say.
It is. It's in North Las Vegas, yeah.
And I think that pretty much sums it up. It's Aria, obviously.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not even going to add anything here. It's late. I'm tired. Aria is an easy winner. Let's recap what our matchups are going to be for round 2, though. So the winners today going off and facing in the second round, we're going to have Caesar's Palace against Luxor. That could be an interesting matchup. The Cow versus Cromwell. I think that's really just going to depend, Josh, on who our guest picker is for that episode.
Yeah.
I could see that going both ways, honestly, because I used to love the Cromwell, so my vote could easily fluctuate. You just got to get the right person pushing me. The other side of the bracket, we're going to have Palazzo against Palms.
Ooh.
I think that's, again, going to be another really good matchup.
Yeah.
And Golden Gate against Aria. I'd be surprised to see Golden Gate come from the 10 seed and knock off Aria there, but
I don't think it's
possible.
impossible. Yeah, I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't say that's impossible.
Okay, fair enough.
Downtown gets a lot of love. I think it will depend on who votes in the polls and who we have as our guest.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of fun this week running through these things. Keren, tell everybody where they can find you. Plug whatever you'd love to plug. You got the next 20 minutes if you need it. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't need that long. I do want to say thank you guys for having me on. This has been a ton of fun. We do have our own show, the 360 Vegas podcast. You can find me on Twitter at 360 Vegas Keren, and that's Keren with 2 E's, no A's. But yeah, thanks guys. This has
Wouldn't
been
that be
a
Keren?
blast. It's
I know.
look, my whole life it's been pronounced
It's
Keren.
however you want to pronounce your own name, Josh. Okay.
It just reminded me there was an old line. Sorry, Karen. There was an old line from a movie that was, "My name is Smythe" with an E, and the person said, "Wouldn't that be Smith?"
Well,
You're
what's
so
funny is
old.
I saw a new drug commercial that was on TV the other day, and it was I think the name of it was Kerendia, and it was KERENDIA, and they
Right.
pronounced it Kerendia, and I'm like, well, maybe I am pronouncing my name wrong. I don't know, but it's
didn't
been
know.
My
You
parents
never knew
pronounced
it.
it Karen. It's been that way my whole life.
Anyway,
And I can
continue with
happily
your
say-
spiel. I'm sorry.
No, that's I just we have a ton of fun on our podcast if you're interested in just general crap about Vegas and 3 friends hanging around making each other laugh. Give us a try. If we're not your cup of tea, totally understand it. But no, thanks guys for having me on for this. This has been a blast.
No, this was a heck of a lot of fun. Josh, anything else you want to add before we get off here?
No, thanks. I can't wait for the second round matchups. I think they're going to be a lot more fun. This region particularly was a little lopsided, I think, and hopefully the matchups will be better going forward.
Okay.
That's
Well, thank you guys.
Selection committee.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That person's horrible. Thank you all for listening, watching, whatever it is that you're doing to see or hear this. We really do appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye guys.
Vegas, here we come.
Thanks for listening to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Have you ever been to Vegas?
Check out all our recent news and our Vegas trip calendar by visiting crapvegas.com.
See you in Vegas.
We hope you enjoyed this week's CV Bracket Challenge voting. For an exclusive video version of this episode and access to all later rounds of voting, please join us on Patreon at patreon.com/crapvegas. Thanks for listening.